Hey everyone, Complex back with another video, and today we are going to talk about Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, which is the remaster for Kingdoms of Amalur. THQ Nordic did just recently go ahead and release the remaster, and I for one am having an absolute blast coming back to the Faelands and just, well, being in the world itself. So today I thought I would share with you my top 10 tips and tricks, especially if you are a new player to the game, or maybe you haven't played in, well, the last 8 years. So let's just dive on into it. Now, first up, let's talk about the HUD. With the remastered version, we now actually have HUD options, which is phenomenal. So by default, the game is set to the quote-unquote default version, which is a huge version of the HUD. It's what you're probably used to if you played the original. There's also a small version, which just makes everything kind of teeny tiny, not super, super tiny, but I do actually prefer the smaller version because I like a cleaner HUD. And then there is an off version, so if you'd like to play with no HUD whatsoever, you also now have that option as well. Next up, let's talk about shrines and lore stones. So the game actually has both. The shrines are something that you can interact with. They do look like just big old shrines sitting out in the world, and they will give you a temporary buff. And that buff you will see listed on your screen, and you can see how long it has left on it. So that is something to bear in mind when you're out and about. If you're about to hit a fight or something like that, you might want to go ahead and interact with one of those shrines. Now, the second thing I mentioned is lore stones, and well, it does exactly what it says and gives you lore. I, for one, am a huge fan of them. It was actually one of my favorite parts of the game when I originally played, just because some of the lore is really interesting. It's not just world-based lore, but sometimes it's gossip-based lore, and I really like that as it makes the world feel more vibrant and alive. Now, the cool thing about the lore stones is that each lore stone that you interact with is actually part of a set. So, for instance, if you interact with a summer lore stone, that is actually part of a set of summer lore stones, and the lore does continue as you interact with each of the stones. Now, if you go ahead and navigate over to the status section of your menu, you'll see that there is a subsection for lore stones. If you click into that, you'll see how many different sets are actually available in the game, and each of these sets will give you a permanent buff, which is really freaking cool. So you can see within that menu how many of the lore stones you have for each of the sets, what each of the buffs will be, and it's actually a place to go ahead and reread the lore. And that's actually super handy, especially if you end up interacting with the lore stones out of order. You can go ahead and just read everything once you collect it all in the order it's intended to get the full benefit of it. So make sure that you're interacting with the lore stones as you go through the world. So next up, smash crates. If you see a wooden box kind of crate thing, it almost looks like a packing crate or anything like that, it's breakable and you can get money from it, and it's probably one of my favorite things to do in the game. I personally am one of those players that wreaks havoc in all of the towns because I'm smashing all of the crates as I'm going. It's a fantastic way to get yourself some money, especially early on, and well, it's just a whole heck of a lot of fun. Let's talk about that special delivery items chest that is available to you in the first town that you visit. If you played the original KOA, you might remember this chest, but if not, it is, like I said, located in that first town that you'll visit after the prologue. And as you're walking into the town, you'll see the big well in the center. And then if you go ahead and look to the left, that is where the chest is located. It's actually glowing and it's super pretty. You can't miss it, kind of thing. And in there is a whole bunch of stuff for you to enjoy. It's yours. You're not going to get in trouble for stealing or anything like that. One big tip that I have for that chest, though, is that it has a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. So make a big save before you dive on in and kind of poke through, see what you want, don't want, try some stuff on, pull out a few different weapons, give them a test run, and then after that, load in back to that save file that you just made, and then take only the items that you need. And those items will always be there, so don't worry about leaving the stuff behind. You can always come back using the fast travel system at any point to get yourself some more stuff, especially as you increase your inventory space as well as getting yourself that player storage. Next up, if you are out and about and you don't have time to hit up a vendor, but you have no space left in your inventory, you might need to get rid of some items. Now, there isn't a destroy button next to an individual item, and you also just can't drag and drop stuff off of your screen. So in order to get rid of items that are in your inventory, you actually have to add the item to your junk. So when you're going ahead and looking at that item, you can add it to your junk and then navigate over to the junk section, and then you can go ahead and either destroy the item or destroy all that way to clear up some inventory space. Let's talk about your gear and weapons. They will actually start to lose integrity as time goes on, and they will need to be repaired. The one thing that you can do is either repair it at a blacksmith, or you can use a repair kit. To repair it at a blacksmith, just find a blacksmith in any of the towns. You can walk up to them and you'll notice that there is a little repair button off to the left-hand side in their dialogue menu, and you can see in that list how much everything needs to be repaired by, what the cost is going to be. You can repair individual items, or you can repair everything in your stash, whatever you'd like to do. Then there is also something called the repair kit. For the repair kit, you'll find those either from vendors or out in the world. You might like loot a chest or something like that, and you can get them that way. In order to repair an item using the repair kit, you just want to navigate over to it in your inventory, click on it, and you will notice that there is an option to use it. When you do that, you'll come up to a menu that'll show you each of your items, how much they need to be repaired by, and then you can go ahead and use it on whichever item you'd like. One of the things that most people might not realize about KOA is that you can steal things and you can kill random people and actually get in trouble for it. That's right. If you walk up to a chest in a random person's home, or maybe it's just owned by somebody, you will see that it will actually be in red that you can loot with a little hand on it. And that means that, well, that doesn't belong to you. So make sure that you bear that in mind as you're looting stuff from chests. You can also go ahead and go on a murder spree if you'd really like. And by murder spree, I more mean you can go ahead through a town and murder pretty much anybody that is normally considered innocent. That is something that you will have to toggle on in the game, because by default, they leave that off. So then that way you can go ahead, test weapons, stuff like that. And you don't have to worry about accidentally killing somebody. But if that is something that you would like to do, you have that ability in KOA. The other thing to mention is if you do go ahead and do that, a guard will stop you and ask you to either pay a fine or go to jail. Or you can also tell the guard, nope, doing none of that, and go ahead and keep on this murdering spree if you'd like. So just bear that in mind when playing KOA. Next up, backpack space. You can, of course, increase it. It is something that is available to you from a general goods vendor. If you look through your inventory, you should see that some of them actually do have that as an option. The first major town that you visit, the general goods vendor is in the same building as the blacksmith, and you can purchase a backpack from them. It is a little pricey, especially to start, so make sure that you are collecting coin as often as possible so you can upgrade your backpack ASAP. Now, the last tip that I have for you is kind of a personal one, and undoubtedly for myself personally, the most important that I have, and that is to not skip the side quests. Each of the towns that you visit have their own almost like little hub, and they have these kind of overarching quest lines that you can experience, and they also have even smaller ones that depend on individual people, and I would highly suggest not skipping all of them. You, of course, don't have to complete all of them, but there are a lot of them to experience, and they are really fun, and they do enrich the world. You can, of course, go ahead and just straight up complete the main storyline if you'd like, but you are going to miss out on a lot of the fantastic world and story building that is available to you in the game. But y'all, that's going to be it from me. I am headed back to Re-Reckoning because I cannot stop playing this game. I hope you are having an absolute blast coming back to Amalur, or maybe this is your first time playing, and I hope you are enjoying it. If you have any questions, I'll leave it in the comments down below, or go ahead and find me on Twitch. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your night and or day, depending on where you are in the world, and I will catch you next time. Bye, guys!